here?
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh my god.
Okay, I hear.
Why are you on here?
Can I not be heard?
No, you're heard. I just come back.
Sir, you're here.
Oh.
Bruce.
I'm here. Who's Jess?
Oh my god.
She must have clicked.
You keep saying that, but who are you?
Jess.
Hi,
She must have
Jess.
How
clicked
did I end up? Oh my god.
Welcome to the Talk It Out podcast, Jess.
Are you putting this on YouTube?
Yeah, well, we're
You're
broadcasting a
live on,
podcast.
Oh my God.
on the
Oh
YouTube.
my god.
Welcome. We're glad you're
Let's
here.
get right into the news. Will you do it, please?
The only thing I can think of is that she clicked the link that we accidentally sent out earlier to join the Hangout.
Yeah. Will you do it, please? Just the first bit.
I
The
missed what
intro.
you were.
The
What
drama
intro?
alert intro.
Drumroll intro.
Let's get right into the news. Killer Keemstar.
That was awkward.
Yeah, I was actually just looking for the block button. I was like, how did that happen?
I have no idea.
I think she thinks we're a different show.
Controls happen on
That's
Google
what I was about to
Hangouts?
say. Okay, so I'm as Talk It Out now, so there's that. Which I have a pretty stable connection and PC, so we should be good.
Both of y'all are Talk It Out, according to my thing.
Interesting. Oh, I guess we could both log in. Well, that's fine.
That's fine.
Okay. All right.
Well, that was exciting. My computer completely crashed.
Yeah, I see that.
So
That's pretty wild.
it was when I went into Google Drive. I don't know why I did that.
All right. Tell me when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready whenever you guys are. Welcome to the Talk It Out podcast, and here we go.
Let's. We're gonna officially start the show.
This is the ChristianPIG Podcast Network. On air.
ChristianPIG Podcast
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we'd like to welcome you to the Talk It Out podcast. My name is Tyler, and I am broadcasting live from Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yo, it's Bruce. I'm on the sound clips and DJ situation over here. I'm in the Seattle area, south of Seattle, and it's beautiful out.
Coming at you live from Bruce's backyard, I am Justin Hartford. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Bruce's backyard, man. You guys are... Okay, I don't think we've ever really discussed this. How far are you from each other?
Probably like 9 miles.
Yeah.
Dang.
It's not too bad up here. I mean, I don't know, a 20-minute drive.
Close
Depending
enough.
I mean, it's 20 minutes because of the slow riding and sometimes traffic.
Yeah.
Close enough to smell each other, I guess.
Yeah.
Definitely close enough to smell them.
Yeah. Over here, they call it the aroma of Tacoma. If you ever
What
heard
are
of that.
the aroma of Tacoma? I like that. I like that a lot.
It's got a smell over there.
I mean, do you guys enjoy living in the Pacific Northwest?
I like it a lot. I moved here from the East Coast, and I kind of for a while there was jonesing to go back to the East Coast, but now that I've been here and just the weather is so mild, it's hard not to like it, you know. And I know that people will say it rains a lot, but at least it's never really cold and never really hot, you know. So you don't have those problems that you have everywhere else. So I'll take a little bit of rain for that, man.
I absolutely agree at this point. I'm originally from California, but I moved here from Montana, where I went to college and that sort of thing. And where I do miss Montana a ton, I must say that in the wintertime I do appreciate being here. And even the summer is pretty mild. It's overall really nice, and there's tons to do over here.
Yeah. I was born in Texas, but right after I was born, we moved to Wisconsin, so I consider myself a Wisconsinite. and I was raised there for most of my life. But I've been in Arizona for going on 4 years now, and I really love Arizona. Don't get me wrong, it's beautiful out here, but man, whenever I go back to Wisconsin in the summertime, I love Wisconsin, man. It's just there's something about it. It feels like home, you know. There's always somewhere in your life that's going to feel like home, and Wisconsin is that place for me. So I don't know. I don't think I'll ever move back there full time, but I know for sure that, you know, the type of career that I have hopefully will allow for me to have a place, you know, wherever I end up full time, have a place up in Wisconsin part time, you know, just in the summer, maybe get a studio apartment or something like that and travel back and forth. I think that would be really sweet, because I'm going to be completely honest with everybody out in the world, and that is I do not like winter. I think it's beautiful for like a month, but Wisconsin winters are about a month too long. And
man, that's a
dude,
mess.
seriously, and there's at least they know how to plow out there, and they know how to handle the snow and all that kind of stuff.
They do.
But there's this point, there's a threshold, usually around January, right after New Year's and after all the holidays are done, and you've gained 30 pounds and you're just hanging out, where the snow turns to slush and the slush turns to ice, and it's just freaking cold, and it's like negative 26 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're out there just scraping ice off your car and having to get up at the crack of dawn to heat up your car for the day. And that, my friend, is not fun. So I don't think I'll ever live in Wisconsin again full time, but I will definitely have at least a lot of adventures up in Wisconsin, you know, throughout the day or throughout the summer.
That's cool.
Send us some cheese.
Definitely. Who loves cheese? The Green Bay Packers, sausage, represent Wisconsin. Go, Pack, go. Welcome to the Talk It Out podcast, though. We are definitely going to dive in here. If you've never listened to us before, here's the premise of our show. We talk about current events. We hear your listener feedback, and here's the best part. It is a live and interactive podcast that you decide what we talk about. We take your listener feedback throughout the week, and also you can come onto the show, call in, chat in, do whatever you want to do to join us here on Talk It Out podcast. And what is that? And what do we do? We talk it out. So today's show, we're going to be going through some exciting stories, talking about Rio. We're going to talk about a little bit about the Milwaukee protests or riots. And we're also going to be talking about Panda Express and some other crazy stuff. So as we get started today, is there anything else that you guys want to say? Normally we do have one more host with us. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it tonight, but that's all right. Also, by the way, even though this is a live and interactive podcast, if you miss our show live, no worries. You can check us out on any podcast media streaming that you like. We do have an RSS feed. It is Talk It Out Pod, and you can find us Talk It Out Podcast on iTunes and any other podcasting host medium that you choose. Yeah. So we're excited.
TalkItOutPod.net. We'll have all the RSS feed info and other cool stuff. If you
Absolutely. Come join our website, TalkItOutPod.net. So if you're into it, we're going to get the show started with our very first segment of the show. And this segment is called Round It Out. So what is Round It Out? Round It Out is where we take 3 news stories, and we each have 30 seconds to talk about these news stories, but when 30 seconds hits, that's it. We got to move on to the next thing. So there's 3 of us today, and we're going to have 3 news stories, 3 trending topics that were occurring during the past few weeks. And we're going to get started with our first topic of the night, and of course, this one is going to be, this is Olympic season. We are talking about the Olympics. So this one is going to be about the Olympics. And tonight's first rounded out topic is talking about our Olympic medal count. So let's take a look at the medal counts as of today. Today is, what is today, guys? Today is Wednesday, August 17th, 2016. As of today, the Summer Olympics are going on in Rio de Janeiro. And as of today, the number 1 country is the United States of America. Woohoo. That's where we're broadcasting from. The number 2 country is Great Britain. And the number 3 country, China. Number 4, Russia. And number 5, Germany. So those are your top counts. Number 1's coming in at 93 medals 30 of those being gold, 32 being silver, and 31 being bronze. And we're coming in at number 5, Germany, 28 medals total, 11 gold, 8 silver, and 9 bronze. So there was some talk going back and forth between me and Bruce this past week. I believe it was, who was it? Neil deGrasse Tyson, right?
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
So Neil deGrasse Tyson tweeted out something that had to do with population and inflation of numbers and statistics, and saying that some other countries are technically beating us based off population. So I just wanted to get your everyone's 30-second review on the medal count, and I wanted to hear what you guys had to think about it. So 30 seconds on the clock. We're going to start with Mr. Justin, and you've got 30 seconds. Let's see here. Let me get my stopwatch out. 30 seconds to give us your thoughts on the medal count and whether or not it is fair, and should we be doing better? Should the United States be doing worse? And just give us your thoughts on the Rio Olympics. 30 seconds. Your 30 seconds begins now.
Well, firstly, I have to admit that although I am a huge sports guy, I have been paying less attention to the Olympics than I have historically. I'm not sure if it's just the demographic, if the age thing, or if I'm just so wrapped up in baseball season right now. So I can't say that I've kept super close tabs, although I do know U.S. has been killing it. It feels crazy weird. I mean, normally it's tighter than this, which feels strange. But, I mean, when it comes to ratios, I mean, look at China. I mean, that's going to be the big comparison. If it's really going to be unfair for us to have the medals per capita, I mean, you would have to argue that China has the bigger pool to work from.
And that's it. You went over your 30 seconds, actually.
Oh, I appreciate that extra time.
Yeah, absolutely. So you owe us 10 seconds on the next question. That's what happens when the host doesn't pay attention. Mr. Bruce, 30 seconds to talk about the Rio Olympics and the medal count, and kind of a little bit, I'd like to hear your side of the story a little bit about what we were talking about before, whether or not population comes into play here at the Olympics. 30 seconds begins now.
Yeah, so first of all, I think this sort of the post he had is pretty condescending. You can't count medal count on a per capita basis. Each country sends more or less the same number of Olympians per event and just total. So the pool of Olympians, right, is almost the same from each country. Now, I will not deny that your population of your country would
30
go into
seconds is up. Sorry about that. See, this is the talk it out part here, folks. Excuse me, the rounded out part where we only have 30 seconds. And unfortunately, he's reached 30 seconds. Now, like I said before, the host, I admit fault, and I allowed Mr. Justin to go a little bit past 30 seconds. So he owes us 10 seconds on the next round. 30 seconds for me on the clock, talking about whether or not population plays a role into the medal count. 30 seconds for me begins right now. Rio Olympics, I tell you what, United States usually does pretty well. However, when I was watching it with my family the other day, if you will, I was watching it with my family. We were watching some of the things, and my girlfriend made a comment that said, you know, oh, America's doing so well this year, and I was thinking to myself, you know, in past years, looking at statistically, we really haven't done that well. So you know what, Neil deGrasse Tyson, why don't you just chill out and let us have something for once in our life? 30 seconds is up for me. Whether or not population plays a role, I don't get to say because I didn't manage my time properly.
Yep. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that, Paul. Okay, sticking on the Rio Olympics theme, we're going to be talking about violence in Rio de Janeiro. This is what's trending right now, folks. It is Olympic season, so we're going to continue to talk about that. So a couple United States as well as other countries were held up at gunpoint, and some of them were actually robbed. Was Rio the best choice? I mean, there was a lot of moral issues and things going on in Rio de Janeiro. I know with the population there, the government was rushed. They basically had a few areas that were not finished. things like that. So there's a lot of background, but we're going to stick specifically with the violence in Rio de Janeiro. Now, for those who don't know, I do work for a major airline as a cabin crew member, and I've been to Rio de Janeiro on layover before, and I tell you, it is a very, very dangerous place. We were trained to only go out at certain times of the day, never go out alone at night, things like that. So anyways, Rio de Janeiro, the violence, Rio Olympics, was it the best choice? 30 seconds, Mr. Justin. Give us your thoughts. Was it the best choice? I mean, what would be a better choice? Should we have pulled the plug? 30 seconds begins now.
It really depends on the angle that you're looking at it from. As you know, Tyler, you give me a hard time all the time I have to first and foremost see things from a marketing perspective. And in the end, it's going to come down to, was it worth the investment? Is it worth the cost? Are you getting your ROIs, right? So that's just going to come down to the people who had all the investing. Are they getting their money back? Now, for morally, I can't speak to that. Ethically, I really have no idea.
30 seconds is up. Thank you very much, Mr. Bruce. 30 seconds on violence in Rio. Should we even be there? 30 seconds begins now.
Well, should we be anywhere? I mean, I don't know. Rio has a lot of problems. One of the issues is definitely that we've talked about before is how they've shielded Rio from the rest of Brazil and the rest of the outlying areas to make it look prettier than it actually is. In some cases, I think it could be beneficial to their economy and repertoire and reputation, but in this case, I think it just reinforced the reputation they already have.
30 seconds is up. Thank you very much. 30 seconds for me. Rio de Janeiro begins now. So I wanted to, like I said before, talk about how the violence in that country contributes to the economic and social downfall that's going on down there right now. There's a lot happening in the government and the unrest there. So to be completely honest, I'm surprised we haven't heard more about violence going on to some of the players and tourists and things like that. And to be completely honest, like I said before, I think the Brazilian government is doing a great job of keeping everyone safe. 30 seconds is up for me, and we've got one more thing to talk about. One more thing to talk about, sticking along the Rio Olympics theme, and then we'll finally move on to some other topics here in just a few minutes on the show. But sticking along the Rio Olympics theme, we've got the beloved, can do no wrong, Michael Phelps. Excuse me, Michael Phelps. Gosh, why can't I speak today? Michael Phelps is retiring. He is just about done with swimming in the Olympic arena, that is. So he retired. He had his last race the other night. He won gold, or his team won gold, at least. I watched it on TV. It was pretty great. And so I wanted to go back and rewind a few years when Michael Phelps was caught, at least had a picture of him smoking weed. And I wanted to get everyone's thoughts on Michael Phelps smoking weed. Is that a good role model? Whether or not you agree it should be legal or not, should Michael Phelps be doing that in the position that he's in? And yeah, you've got 30 seconds to talk about Michael Phelps, the pot-smoking, gold medal-winning darling child of the United States. 30 seconds for Mr. Justin on Michael Phelps begins now.
Let's just be honest. Whether or not he's a good role model completely surrounds on what culture says about that particular thing in that particular point in time. You know, it wouldn't have been that long ago that if he would have been caught drinking a beer, that people would have said, oh, no, you better not look up to him. You better not show him on TV. We got to kick him out of the Olympic Games. Well, of course, most people, especially up here in the Pacific Northwest, are not going to be saying that. But they also wouldn't be saying that about weed either. But if everyone was smoking weed...
30 seconds is up, Mr. Bruce. You've got 30 seconds to express your feelings on the uproar that Michael Phelps received a few years ago, and why is he a darling child of the United States this year compared to those past years, or pretty much anything you want to comment on Michael Phelps and his habits. 30 seconds begins now.
I mean, is Snoop Dogg a good role model? I mean, he's pretty popular and smokes a buttload of weed and basically celebrates it. I would say he's he's done what he's done in terms of achieving his medals, and if he smokes some weed in some of his parties, whatever, it's ridiculous. Who cares? He's still a better human being than most things we see on the media today.
Thank you very much. 25 seconds on that one. You get 5-second credit on our next Rounded Out show. So 30 seconds for me. Michael Phelps begins now. See, I see it no differently than if Michael Phelps were to eat a bag of Doritos before every race. If he wants to smoke weed, as long as it's not against the rules wherever he's at, then oh well. Maybe he was breaking the law back in the day. Maybe he wasn't. But guess what? The dude's won gold medals. The dude provided results. And should he acknowledge it? Should he come out and say whatever he wants to say about it? I don't know. But long story short, he makes his own choices. He's an adult. He can figure it out. 30 seconds is up for me. Thank you very much. And that was the Rounded Out segment where we talk about what's trending for 30 seconds each. You guys did a good job.
Yeah. Bruce, I thought you killed that. If there was a winner, I think Bruce won it.
Yeah, we'll start keeping score next week and see who's doing best.
Bruce,
Yeah, well, I think
yeah.
I think I kind of messed up that first one, right? So I was trying to get into the Neil deGrasse Tyson thing a little more, but otherwise, this 30-second thing makes it difficult to put together your sentence quickly. Like I like that you have to do it on your feet, no fact checking, quick. It's no different than hanging out at a bar and listening to people BS, but in this case we've put the time limit on it, so you don't have to listen to somebody ramble. There's always that one guy, right, that doesn't shut up at the bar.
This controls the whole thing.
Me.
So you can't.
Every bar has a Tyler.
Every bar has a Tyler, and every Tyler has a bar.
Right.
So if you like what you hear, if you're interested in what we're doing here at the Talk It Out podcast, if you want to send us some trending topics to talk about, you're more welcome to do that, if you will. You can tweet us at Talk It Out Pod. You can hit us up on our website, talkitoutpod.net, or you can always just send us your feedback live by calling in or coming on to our show. Tweet us. We'll send you a link. You can join our hangout, and we can have a nice conversation about that. Later today in the show, we are going to be taking listener questions. If there's anyone who wants to engage with us, you are more than welcome to do so. We will have a phone number for you a little bit later after our break, and you can call in and answer or talk about whatever you want to talk about that we talked about during the show, or if there's something you want us to talk about, we are willing to do that. If you like what you hear and you want to invest in it, we'd like to hear from Mr. Bruce this time around, and like to talk about a little thing called tipping it out.
Yeah. So, okay, if you go to talkitoutpod.net, right, there is a thing called Patreon. Basically, Patreon is a way to support a project that you like or you'd like to see continue. And it's simple. You can just donate money on a monthly basis or whatever you want. So if you go to talkitoutpod.net, hit support, you can become a Patreon patron. And then there are certain levels that we will talk to, that we will do for that amount or whatever the case may be. And we're working on getting that as much as we can. And we have I think just one patron at this point, but it's really nice to get some of the perks that you'll get from that, like you get on the show, gifts, things like that. But really, it helps us. Like hosting isn't free, and then any other like gear that we may need to purchase for broadcasting and audio and things like that. And as you gain more following, the quality of the show may improve as gear improves and things like that. So. And it's patreon.com/talkitoutpod or talkitoutpod.net and hit support. That'd be great if you guys would check that out.
And we would totally love you if you did, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
So we are scheduled up against a little break. Do you guys want to take a little break or do you want to keep going?
I could use a little break.
Cool. So we're going to take a little break. If you're watching live, we're just going to be kind of in and out of space here for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then we will rejoin on the show in just a few minutes. If you're listening to the podcast, our special podcast magicians will splice together the audio, and there won't be much of a break for you at all. So here we go.
Lucky you.
Hear her calling, come to me. Talk to her, won't let me be. Go to the valley.
I'm going to take a biological break, Justin.
Time to hear. Never takes time. You know I will. Hey, now, darling. Your heaven so dark. Your heaven so dark. Your heaven so dark. Your heaven so dark. I hear her calling. Hurry home. Been so long since I've been gone. Won't get tired. Won't go astray. Hear her calling. Call my name. Hey, now, darling. Your heaven's so dark. 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 Done my girl, done my kind. Your heaven's so next to mine. Heart's on fire. Get no sleep. That one night. No relief. Hey, now, darling. Your heaven's so dark. Your heaven's so dark.
Well, that was a little bit of a heavy soul for you. Hopefully we'll have maybe a guest come on, which would be a lot of fun coming up after the break here. And so I'm actually going to do a little promo here for a band. They're called Rest Repose, and I'm a big fan of them. They're from the Seattle area here, and this is one of their songs off their latest EP. It's the title track called Sleep City.
Excited when I think about the possibilities of life. Connect and communicate That's just life. Please, can we just live it? 'Cause what else are we gonna do? What else are we gonna do? Gravity will pull us from this city of sleep. Peaceful entity cast into the sea. Flying through time and space at 1,000 miles an hour. Falling into the truth, into the truth. The truth of our time.
So that was Rest Repose, a local band here in Seattle area. They are big friends of mine, and yeah, check them out on Facebook. Rest Repose. A couple of the guys in the band are YouTube celebrities, if that means anything. But honestly, even without their celebrity status in that regard, they are really good musicians and really fun. They just got a new singer, so that'll be interesting. So anyway, just a little plug for them. So we're gonna slowly transition back into a little bit of talk it out here.
Definitely.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Talk It Out podcast.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
Welcome on the Talk It Out podcast. Glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks for hanging.
Thanks for hanging out. We're back up in this podcast. Talk it out. Anyways, if you're just joining us, we're glad you're here.
I'm not
And
sure
if
if
you're
that
not-
was like wrestling or if that was like just some sort of odd like thrash metal.
That was borderline like local metal core band, like from circa 2006.
Macho Man Randy Savage
Like-
as their lead vocalist.
Yeah, something like that.
If Macho Man was the lead vocalist for like the Red Summer or something would be the name of the band.
Something like that. So we're going to get into the next part of the Talk It Out show where we talk about what the heck we want to talk about before we get to your feedback. This is our favorite part of the show and not your favorite part of the show because guess what? This is our podcast and we decide what we want to talk about.
What we want to do?
We do what we want to do. Bone saw. That wrestler in Spider-Man told me McGuire's trying. Bone saw.
That's a good reference. That's a deep one, man. I haven't heard that in forever. That is a deep cut.
That voice just sounded like him. So, anyways, we get to talk about whatever we want to talk about. And this is actually not our favorite part of the show. Our favorite part of the show is when we get to hear from you, the listener. So, as courteous as we are, we still get to be selfish at one point during our show, and this is it. So we've each brought together a news story that we would like to discuss as a group with an unlimited time frame. Mr. Bruce, your story, please.
Okay, so my story. This is really important. It seems
Let's bring it down for a second.
that there may be
Let's everybody calm
There-
down.
there
I
there
brought it
might
up,
be
now let's bring it down.
there might be a new utensil coming.
No.
I'm gonna let that sink in.
No. What? A new utensil? What?
So it seems like there's been a leak of a possible utensil from Panda Express
Up.
called the Chork, which
Oh
is a
my-
fork and a chopstick in one.
Wait, how does that even work, first
Hold
of all?
on, hold on.
So the
hold on.
handle of the fork will be in two pieces. So you have a chopstick on one side and a fork on the other.
Good God.
So I definitely
so crazy it just might
but
work.
they're
Okay.
plastic, right? So then there's that. So first of all, here's how I feel about the chopstick. It's 2016. I'm a human being, and I'm an evolved man. I have a fork, and I have a spoon, and that is all I need. There's no reason for a man or woman to eat anything, let alone rice or noodles, with pieces of wood. Secondly, there is no reason for Panda Express or anyone else to make a chopstick that is plastic, that will make it damn near impossible to grab anything without a fork or spoon.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine eating noodles with a plastic round chopstick that is attached to a fork?
Who thought this was a good idea? Who thought this was the best solution?
I'm thinking they only thought about the hashtag. Listen, we're going to call it a chork. Hashtag chork.
It's a
It's
marketing
gonna be
ploy.
easy marketing.
Okay.
But in terms of practicality, this is a fail.
This is a very true story that I did not know that I was going to be talking about on this podcast.
Yeah.
And it has to do with Panda Express. It doesn't have to do with their chork, but it does have to do with their General Tso chicken. General Tso. How do you say it? I don't know. I'm not Asian.
So
Does anybody know?
Chow, I don't
Can
know.
somebody write in? Can somebody tell us how we pronounce
Is it
it? Like
General Tso?
really?
Is it General Chow?
Now I know.
Both. Let me know.
I know. Yeah, let us know in the wherever, because I know that it's an American thing. First of all, I'm not stupid. I know that it was American made up, just like fortune cookies. But I really want to know: is it General Tso, General So? Somebody let me know. So, anyways, it would lead me to believe that it's so. Sorry, I didn't mean to get back on this topic, but it would lead me to believe that it was so because like they have like these marketing commercials and campaigns where they're like, oh, it's so good, TSO, so. So I'm assuming it's so. But anyways, long story short, here I am. I'm home alone for like 2 weeks while my girlfriend's out of town, and I'm kind of going crazy. Like I want to do everything that she doesn't want me to do, like while she's gone, and by that I mean like eat at the places she doesn't like. Like, yeah, I got groceries and yeah, I got stuff to eat out there, but I want to go to places that she's not a fan of, like Panda Express. Okay, so I like Panda Express. She hates it. She
Right.
thinks it's gross.
I
And I'm
think
thinking
it's
to
gross,
myself,
too. I'm with her. I'm
no,
with
no,
her
no,
lady.
it's okay. It's okay. It's not that I think it's gross. I see it in the airports. When I eat it in the airports, I'm like, this is not that great. But when I'm home, there's sometimes where I'm like, okay, I want some greasy, nasty American food. And McDonald's doesn't cut it for me anymore. Panda Express is kind of like my next thing. So I decided I'm going to go to Panda Express. I get in my car, and first of all, I'm heading to my grandmother's house. She lives about 2 hours south of me in Arizona. She lives in, not 2 hours, about an hour and a half south of me. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's got to be one along the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in my car, I'm going to get my stuff together, and just start headed towards my grandma's house. So I get in my car and I'm driving and I stop at the first Panda Express and I get in there and something is just like not right. There's like I don't know. Like basically I'm trying to think like what am I forgetting? Sure enough, I forgot my wallet at home. So I have no money. So I got to turn around and I drive all the way home. Thankfully, I'd only gotten like 5-10 minutes down the road. Still an inconvenience, right? So then I get back in my car when I get back to home and I get my wallet and I get back in my car and I drive down the freeway and I decide I'm going to stop at a different one that's a little bit farther because I need to make up for that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get into the new Panda Express and there's a long line. I mean like out the door type of long line. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, no, just not today. I just, you know what, obviously, God doesn't want me to have Panda Express.
It's clearly fate at this point.
It's clearly fate at this point. So I just leave. And I go and I'm driving there. And as I'm approaching my grandma's house, what is this? A brand new Panda Express built up right near where my grandma lives in southern Santan Valley, Arizona, hour and a half south of Scottsdale. And I'm thinking, this is great. Oh, fate's on my side. I go in there. It's a brand new Panda Express. I go in there and the lights are off and it's a little hot. And I'm thinking to myself, what's going on here?
Yeah.
There's a line starting to form. Everyone there is speaking Spanish. I'm as white as they come, so I don't speak any language other than English, and I barely speak English. And I'm thinking to myself, what is happening here? Finally, after about literally no joke, 3 or 4 good 60-second minutes, someone turns to me and says, "Cash only. We just had a power outage." Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? There was a power outage at the third Panda Express. I walked out of there and I said, Lord God, Jesus Almighty, I'm a Christian. Okay, I'm a Christian. And I said, Lord, you do not want me to have Panda Express.
Doesn't. That's an omen for you not to eat Panda Express.
Literally, I will never eat Panda Express for the rest of my life. I'm pretty positive I will never have Panda Express for the rest of my life. So I wanted to share that story. I didn't know I was going to be able to share that story today. So I appreciate you, Bruce, for sharing that. What is it called again?
The chork. It's coming to a Panda Express near you, possibly, and then maybe it'll be ripped off by everyone else. And
yeah, exactly. So I'm sorry.
I've always wanted a knife fork. Spork with a knife, whereas the handle would have like a knife on it. You know what I mean, like a little.
So one end would have the spork, like the spoon.
Yeah, like standard spork, and then the handle would have a little like butter knife. Not enough to cut your finger, but if you need to spread some butter, you need to cut something.
You could make some money. You could make some money in elementary schools.
I think that would work, man.
United States elementary schools, you could make some money.
Yeah, I remember the spork.
I'm for it.
We had sporks everywhere, and they don't work. But if you could add a little knife to the end of it, I don't know.
The ultimate. It would be the ultimate.
I don't know. So, but I appreciate you letting me, vent on my Panda Express. I didn't end up eating Panda Express that day. I'm trying to think. Oh, I got In-N-Out Burger that day.
Probably a lot better.
It was a lot better, and I'm thankful, and I'm thankful to to God for not allowing me to have Panda Express. So, Mr. Justin,
Amen.
I guess it's unless there's anything else you want to add, Bruce.
No, that's it's basically the most important story I've read.
Will you keep us updated though? Will you keep us updated on this?
Yeah, we'll see if the chork actually comes to fruition.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You heard it here first, folks.
We heard it here first. Also, don't go to Panda Express because they're either going to have long lines, you're going to forget your wallet, or the power's going to be out. So, Justin, let us know about your story today.
All right. Reporting live, Talk It Out Pod. Sports reporter today. You got Justin here. Sports? And I'm here to talk a little bit. Yeah. Oh, wait. You haven't heard enough about the Olympics? Well, hold on. We've got the story for you. So, Michael Phelps is not the only poster child of the Olympic men's swim team. Can you guys think of another one?
No.
I don't remember his name. No, I watched so much of it, but I really haven't done names very well, except for a few of the women.
Laying 5 or 6, somewhere near where Michael Phelps is, for the most part.
Jordan or something.
Ryan Lochte.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Yes. Well, so here he was, just on his way home. He's like, I've had enough of this Olympic stuff. I've had my fun. I have my medals. I'm gonna go home. Well, he is in custody, basically. So, Rio de Janeiro, 2 U.S. swimmers who were with Ryan Lochte the night of an alleged robbery were removed from a flight at a Rio airport on Wednesday night as they tried to leave the country. So, it was basically a part of a robbery that happened. They were robbed at gunpoint early Sunday morning after leaving a party of France House.
Which is what we talked about.
Yeah. So, just crazy, right? There's been a few controversies. This isn't the only one. There was one that I heard that it wasn't a part of the American team, but it was one where there was a couple of synchronized swimmers who were there were female synchronized swimmers, and then literally the night before they were supposed to compete, one of them said, "Hey, I'm gonna basically have what the South American news described as a sex marathon with someone from the same team." Now, so the whole point of this is I'm thinking, how much of these kind of things, not just robberies or, mingling of Olympians, how many, say, controversial things do you think actually happen behind the scenes of these, with athletes? I mean, you have a bunch of high-powered, attractive people in the same area, a bunch of media, a bunch of press, a bunch of just everything, all the biggest of every medium is all in one place. So how much do you think is going on behind the scenes that we don't see?
Well, I'm sure a lot. I mean, you're talking about athletes or just anyone that was, an adult in, probably a fairly close quarters for, a month or whatever long they're there. I mean, it's bound to happen. And then, if everyone is amped up on their protein shakes and their echinacea, whatever, ginkgo biloba. They're going to be all energetic, and you got to get the energy out. And a lot of them are young, so they're still raging hormone wise. Yeah, it's probably assumed. I would think.
Yeah. And an update with that. I mean, Lochte is at home, so he's not a part of basically the investigation that's happening. But it's just kind of mind blowing, some of the stuff, and I love when stuff like this comes out. That it makes these people seem more human to me anyway. So I kind of enjoy it myself.
Did it say what airline it was?
Let me see here. I'm not seeing it immediately. No.
Oh, interesting.
Is that something you know from your inner circles?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Basically,
Negative.
they're just trying to be as compliant as possible, is what they're saying. They just want to get out of there. He said, "I'm just trying to give Brazil what they need or what they want and get out of here," and I don't blame them.
Yeah, First of all, nobody wants to go to jail in Brazil. Okay.
Yeah, seriously.
No way. I mean, people can say all they want about how America is going down the crapper, but I'm pretty sure you'd rather be in our judicial system, even if you think it's slighted certain people, than some places like Brazil, where it's corrupt as all get out, and murder happens there like a bodily function in Brazil. Yeah. Well, I think that's the nature of the people's age at the Olympics, and how excited they are, and et cetera. I think that's probably just the way it is.
That's crazy.
So
that's
Tyler,
all I have for that.
Where is your story?
So my story, it's a little sad, I'm going to be honest, but it seems as though we're having an uptick in zoo place violence. I want to talk to you guys about zoo place violence, not workplace violence, zoo place violence. R.I.P. to Harambe, that gorilla that was shot and killed because of the little boy that fell into the exhibit, or whatever they call it, and his little sanctuary, and he was whipping the boy around, and unfortunately they had to end his life to protect the boy. So rest in peace to Harambe. But we have a new story, and it would appear as though animals are fighting back. There was a girl in the Moroccan zoo who was killed. Yes, killed. A little girl. This is sad. Killed by an elephant at the zoo. A 7-year-old Moroccan girl has died after a zoo elephant threw a rock at her. Managers at the zoo in the capital of Rabat confirmed the details in a press statement. The girl died a few hours after being transferred to the hospital. Video shot by a zoo visitor shows a number of people huddled around the girl and holding her head, which was flowing with blood. While waiting for the ambulance to arrive, the park management said the girl had been hit after the female elephant hurled a rock out of its enclosure. The girl had been in the visitors area with her family looking at the elephant and trying to take a picture. The Rabat Zoo does not use a metal fence to separate the animals from the visitors, but has a huge ditch and a wooden fence. Zoo managers sent their condolences to the girl's family and said in the statement that the zoo meets the required international safety standards. So you can go on and read this article. This one is from CNN.com. But I just wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on this because, in all honesty, it seems really, really sad. But I don't think so. There's the reason why we're bringing this up is because there's some debate in Morocco as to whether or not they should punish the animal for this. Should the animal end up dead Should the animal end up somewhere else? Should they move the animal? I mean, I just want to hear y'all's thoughts on this.
I mean, it's a the girl throws a rock at the elephant, and the elephant retaliates. I mean, where's the parents who let him throw the rock? And then where's the parents who should be pulling the girl away when the elephant starts charging? You know, whatever the case. You know what I mean? Like, that's who's at fault. In this case, I would not kill an elephant for that. I mean, but then I'm sure there's some arguments that could be made amongst animal folks and they, people that study animals regularly maybe know better than this. But once an animal kills someone, I'm sure it changes it. I could be wrong, maybe not. But there's always that, like, the animal killed it, it's got to be put down. That's always the go-to response. But in this case, I mean, it's not killing anyone else. Don't throw any effing rocks at it, and stay inside the cage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty sad.
Or stay outside the cage if you're a person.
It's just interesting. I mean, this is not the first time that animals.
Right. I mean, if you want to get down to it, these wild animals are effing wild. That's it. I mean, you can't keep messing around with animals that have tendencies. They're locked in a cage, and I mean, I'm sure they're very nicely taken care of, whatever the case. But I mean, they gotta move, they gotta run, they gotta hunt, they gotta do things, and their instincts to survive. You're killing the instinct to survive, I would assume.
So that brings up the bigger question. I mean, that really does bring up the bigger question. Should we even have zoos? What's the point of the zoo?
Yeah, I mean, I would be in a bigger favor of zoos only for rehabilitation purposes, and not just zoos, to make a living on, standard fish you could find anywhere, you know what I mean, that don't need help. I'd be okay with a zoo that was a sanctuary and for assistance, but and then basically what that would do is the people going to the zoo would pay for the work that needs to be done, right? Because they're going to need money to rehabilitate these kids or these animals. So there's
an aquarium that's opening up down the street from me, and it's going to have dolphins in it, and people are pretty pissed about that. Huh. So I mean, you guys have kids. I don't have kids. I mean, I do have a girlfriend, and she has little brothers, and we take them to the zoo.
Yeah, my son's almost 3, and he's a big fan of the zoo.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, what kind of implementation would the zoo not be?
Well, hopefully, like I said, there would be refuge shelters, and B, if there were no zoo there in the first place, then the kid wouldn't miss it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like born like.
I mean, SeaWorld had all that hot water because of that documentary that came out about the whales, the killer whales and things like that. So SeaWorld got into a lot of trouble, and some other places were getting into trouble and things like that. But I mean, I just want to know, like, what is the solution? I mean, should we even have zoos? Should we not have zoos? I don't know.
I don't know any numbers on this, but if I'm not mistaken, don't zoos do a lot for wildlife preservation?
They do. A lot of the money
saying.
Is donated. Yes.
If it's for preservation, if it's for sanctuary, you know what I mean. If it's for assistance of animals, I'm cool with it. I am not cool about public funds supporting a zoo, and I'm not cool about zoos bringing in other animals that may or may not need to be there. Because that would not need to be there in that case because they're not like restoring their population or fixing them as an injured animal, whatever the case may be. They're just, an attraction, and I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we'll see what the future holds. I mean, will these incidents cause some thought process to this whole thing? I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to think about globally because zoos are not just, in the United States. They're everywhere. So there's a lot of things like that we need to think about globally for future preservation of animals too, So I don't know. We'll see. There's still a lot of wildlife sanctuaries out there, which is great. But there's places that you can go visit to go see animals that are not like zoos where they're all enclosed and very regimented. So maybe something like that is in the future.
Cool. Well, I'd like to see now if we could get someone on the show.
Absolutely.
Wants to call in real quick. So I'm giving him the link now to come on in. And we're a big fan of interacting with people in the show and trying to make the show interesting live, because we're doing it live. We're recording it as a podcast, but there's advantages to doing it live, whereas you can interact with people that are listening, or you can do more things live than you could if you were recording.
Yeah.
So we have Nick here who wanted to join, and it's open floor. It's just whatever you wanted to say or not say. What's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for letting me join.
Nick, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Nick.
Yo, yo, yo.
So what's up?
What's on your mind?
I don't know. I don't really. You guys covered everything great. I have nothing to add. I feel like now. Earlier, I felt like, get me on the show, and now I can't think of anything.
What was striking your mind? What did you want to talk about earlier? I mean, what were you thinking about?
It's General So's, I think. So, there we go. There's something.
Hey, that's good feedback.
That's great.
So.
That's great.
Yeah, General
We're
So's.
a little bit more cultured now.
I think zoos are cool. I could care less if we lock up a monkey in a cage or not.
That's a great perspective, though. I mean, we want to hear something that's against what we were saying too. I mean, because it's not that it's against. To be completely honest, if you would have asked me 2 years ago, I probably would not care. But now all this stuff is going on, and I happen to be in a relationship with somebody who's very animal conscious. She's borderline vegetarian. So, I mean, what I don't know. I mean, should monkeys be locked up all the time? Should there be zoos making revenue off of people being locked up?
Should dogs be domesticated and
Right.
bred to
That's
be
exactly
certain
right.
sizes?
That's a great point. Yeah.
But the dog is created in that way over hundreds and hundreds of years. We're taking animals that are wild and putting them in a cage. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you're
There's
still
a
cool
reason
with
why you're
having
not allowed to.
pets.
But there's a reason why you're not allowed to own a wild animal in your own home, right? Like, I can't just go pick up a wild animal like a cougar and then keep him in my house.
You
Not allowed to
can.
do that.
I think you can. When I lived
No,
in,
there's rules. There's
listen,
city rules against that usually.
when I lived in Georgia, there was a guy about a mile away. He had like 12-foot metal fencing around his house and had a pet wolf.
Interesting.
I mean, it depends. It probably depends on municipality, state. He may not have been all above board with it, but you definitely can't just grab a wild animal and keep them.
No, there are laws. I'm just saying though.
Like, I can't go grab a black bear cub and raise them and hang out with them in my
Okay,
house.
yet again, I had a friend. He had a friend who had a bear in a basement, and he went and rustled it.
Your
Had a pet
sister's
bear.
cousin's daughter's best friend's roommate had a cougar living in their
Right,
attic.
Exactly.
So what we're having here is the issue of whether or not it's ethical to have these animals. Whether or not you can is besides the point, because we know that you can. You know that you can raise a freaking giraffe in your apartment if you wanted to, but ethically, should we?
So ethically, I think as people, we choose to justify whatever we feel like.
Yeah.
So it's easy to get behind and say zoos are wrong. People are making money off of it. But yet, we'll say it's fine to have a
Oh, we just
It
lost.
sounds like we lost Nick.
a snake, or it's just whatever justification you choose.
I agree with that.
And here come the police to arrest Nick for making comments.
Yeah, sorry,
like that.
I live in.
Here they
What about
go.
the bear in the basement?
We decide whatever is cute or interesting, like and
that's
you
true.
don't ever see anyone like thinking a blobfish is protected, or a spider or a locust. We gotta kill that thing ASAP, but don't touch that cute raccoon. You know what I mean? That's the way
Right.
we justify it. And, I don't know. That I agree with for sure,
It's
but
just
I don't agree with
the
taking
zoo
wild
is the
animals
hot
into the
issue.
zoo.
The zoo is the hot issue.
Yeah, it's it's hot of the week.
I mean, I'm a Christian too, and I was talking to I work with young adults at my church, and I was talking to one of them, and they're talking about dogs and animals and being cute, and I just to be honest, animals do not have souls. Okay, so why are we getting so caught up in defending the animal when it doesn't even have a soul? It is totally inconsequential to anybody's spirituality. I mean, ultimately, it does not matter.
Right, but from a non-Christian perspective, that's sort of So from a Christian perspective, you have a point, and somebody that
Right,
may
just
be
from a Christian worldview.
yeah, but from non-worldview, I mean, there's people would be like, no, we wouldn't take that argument. And then B, I think people are bored. I think we don't have enough struggle, especially in the U.S. Listen, do you think people in Morocco or Zimbabwe are saying, please save the monkeys or save the lion? They're not. No, they're not. Because they have real problems. We are sitting over here fat as a beast with everything we need within arm's reach.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong, except unless, of course, you want to get on the social justice warrior. But it's no different than them with making themselves victims or trying to glom onto the victimization of another person because they want to feel good about themselves. It's the same thing in this case.
Right. So scientifically, do animals have feelings? I think yes. It's clear that they have emotions and feelings and can feel pain and feel emotion and things like that. So is it our moral right to be conscious of their feelings and appreciate them, love on them, or hate them, or cage them? I mean, what's our moral obligation as humans to protect and nourish and help animals?
Has science proven that every animal has feelings and emotions?
Okay, blanket statement, every animal, I don't know. But I know for a fact that the animals that we choose to domesticate or put into zoos, the majority of them have feelings.
Listen, man, there's been people that have trying to claim that plants cry out when you cut them.
Right.
There's a
Science.
big difference between science doesn't say that plants cry out. I mean, people who want to think that.
Yeah.
I mean, there is evidence that plants have some level of consciousness that can respond to certain stimulus. But to say that it's crying out is one thing. And additionally, I mean, most animals who are at least on the upper echelon of brain development, such as dogs, they do have emotions, but it has been shown in studies, and I don't have anything to cite right now, but it has been shown in studies that typically things like pain for animals doesn't trigger the same parts of the brain as it does for humans, whereas we might associate pain with sadness. Most animals don't have that association. That's mainly a human higher level of thinking sort of phenomenon.
So if I pick up my dog and I punch him in the face, he's not going to be sad about that?
maybe moment. What kind of dog do you have?
I have a Corgi Lab mix. He's very cute, and yes, he has feelings.
Of course he has feelings, but he's not thinking, oh no, why would you do that to me? Humans shouldn't do that to dogs. He's thinking, ow, that hurts, I want to survive.
Yeah, or what did I do wrong? Why did I experience pain?
Interesting.
Right.
But is that enough moral code for us, even that type of feeling, is that enough moral code for us to be like, hey, hold on, what are we doing? Is it? I don't know. That's the question.
Well, by nature, if we're taking a scientific standpoint, by nature, science doesn't speak to morals. So I'm sorry, I cannot answer that.
It does not.
It does not. I'm calling PETA. I'm calling PETA, and I'm letting all of you know.
The thing, yeah, I mean,
I'm just trying to earn brownie points.
Get on that.
Here,
that happens a lot. So people will take whatever research, be it science or any other profession that might have research, and that they'll make their own conclusion based on whatever the research may state. So the research will be objective. and Justin has Einstein on a bobblehead. And Einstein would say the same thing, right? He would say, this is the research. That's it.
It's just a little crazy that we say it's okay to feel whichever way you want to feel. There's no right or wrong. It's just however you feel. And now we're extending that to, like, animals and fish and plants. That's just outrageous to me.
We don't know how they feel.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that we're trying to figure out how they feel to then cater towards their feeling.
Right. So then you have to take the interpretation of somebody else as gospel.
Is it a bigger problem? Do we go deeper and say that we as humans always try to prioritize the way we see the world?
Yeah.
Versus how everybody else sees it?
I mean, we do. And that's why I brought up the whole thing with dogs. I mean, I have an Australian Shepherd. I have two, in fact. And I just took them to a town where there's a bunch of tourists, and we stopped literally every 30 seconds when someone wanted to pet our dog, and their question was, is this a mini, a toy, or a standard? And the reason they asked that is because for hundreds of years, people have been breeding Australian Shepherds and other dogs to make them smaller so that they can have the same level of cuteness but fit on their lap. So the whole thing is it surrounds what do humans want to do with these things. And I think zoos are just an extension of that. And I think you would be silly to say, I want to cut out every little thing that we do unjustly to animals, because then there wouldn't be things like all the dogs. And I'm not trying. I can't really speak to the morals of it because I really don't know. But I'm saying it's in so many more areas than we can even know right away without really thinking about it.
Right. Interesting. Well, thanks for bringing that up, and thanks for letting us talk that out, Nick, and thanks for coming on our
Nick.
show.
Thank you, Nick.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Thanks for hanging out, dude. We'll talk soon. Cool. Well, that was cool.
Yeah, it's always nice to have people on. Thanks for coming on, and anyone else that wants to, hit us up sometime. We'd like to give you a hand.
Hit us up. You can always live tweet us during the show. Go on our website or contact us via the live chat.
And then if you wanted to hear something like the next show after you listen to the podcast, just suggest it, and then hopefully we get it on the next show.
Exactly.
And so I wanted to get back slightly on the topic that we were discussing with science, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, why do you think lately, and I would say in the past 5 years, maybe 7, that quote-unquote science has become the answer to all arguments, almost, or it's become a hashtag, and what do you blame the internet, or do you think, would you go somewhere else with that? What do you think?
I mean, I've always been a big fan of science myself and scientific studies. The reason I have an Einstein bobblehead is because I love Einstein, and I've been a nerd about his studies since I was just a little kid. And that's even though, I mean, everyone's talking about their faith, even though I am a Christian and I do believe in these things, I've always been seriously interested in science, and I love it. From a pure standpoint, really. So I know, for instance, that science, as I mentioned earlier, can't really speak to morals. Science is simply a tool. Now, in the culture that we live in, since that's kind of your culture that we live in right now in Western society, we have mom blogs, food blogs, moral blogs. What should I do? How did the earth come around? What is gay marriage? This, that. So everyone has an opinion, right? And the problem is that most people don't know what they're talking about, and they don't know what to do with the information that they're given, in my opinion. So someone takes science, and it really has become a form of religion, and even in some ways dogma, where people are saying, well, I believe in science. And to someone who's an actual scientist, that sounds crazy, because science is not, it's not really a belief system. It's a tool for observing, measuring, predicting, and those sort of things. It has nothing to do with, oh, I believe. So, when you say evolution versus creation, saying I believe in evolution is not a statement of necessarily the same, it's like an apples and oranges sort of thing, because you would say I observe certain things and I subscribe to them and I think they're true. And if something were to come up that showed adverse evidence to that, I would start to believe or think something else. So if that answers your question at all, people shouldn't extend these sort of things and say, I know for sure that morally zoos are this. They should look at evidence and say, at this point in time, it points in this direction.
Right. This is what we've seen as a trend or in study, and that's the best conclusion we could make.
Yeah, and it's subject to change. For someone who's an actual fan of science, they are excited about the potential of new discoveries.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not about their bias and extending those discoveries out to try to make sweeping claims. Like, that's not what science is about.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We love to generalize. as
Yeah,
humans.
it's generalizations and validation is what people are looking about.
Exactly.
Where you can go to a website that says you can just Google rather and say, why do I think the Earth is only 6,000 years old? And then, or it's something even crazier. Why is the Earth flat? Which has obviously been refuted.
Yeah.
But now you can just Google that, find lots of similar articles, and they're written by Joe Schmo, and then you can validate yourself and start pointing to whatever quote unquote article or science. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's all about that validation and generalizations of science.
So I think this episode has talked it out. I don't know about you.
I think we talked this one out to the point where it no longer can be outed or talked.
Mm-hmm. It's only.
But if you like what you hear, right? Exactly. It's all we're left with is it. If you liked what you heard, or you like what you hear, or you want to be a part of our community, you can join us at talkitoutpod.net. You can tweet us at talkitoutpod. You can join us on our Facebook community page, Talk It Out Podcast, or you can just think about us. That would be great too. But if you want to give us your thoughts, your prayers, your concerns, your wishes, your hopes, your dreams,
and vibes,
your fears, and send us your good vibes, and do whatever it is you want to do. We seriously thank you all for listening so much. As we get this podcast going, there are lapses in time where we get busy with life and things like that. But we're so excited about the future of this podcast, and we've said it before and we'll say it again. We think we have something awesome here, and we're excited to continue to share our ideas and experiments, if you will, with you with the show. And we're excited about the future of this interactive and live podcast.
Yep.
Yeah, so once again, my name is Tyler. I'm coming to you live from the Phoenix Valley in Arizona.
This is Bruce from the Seattle area.
This is Justin from Bruce's backyard.
And Bruce, you want to give us some fade-out music? And if you want to play that local band again, I think that would be great. If you weren't listening during the break, we'll try to add that in as one of our commercials. This is a local band from Seattle. What's their name again, Bruce?
Rest Repose.
Rest Repose. Give it up to Rest Repose, local band in Seattle. Have a great night, everybody, and thanks for listening to the Talk It Out